Hello, everyone, and welcome to the. I'm not sure if that is if it's a PQC podcast episode or some special episode. Maybe we can call it a special episode because in a few weeks we're going to have our event about blockchain security in Melbourne. It is also an online option, so. Feel free to sign up if you are in the blockchain space or care about the security of blockchain and want to hear ExeQuantum and Quranium as well as some other blockchain players as their insights about blockchain security. So today we'll be talking all about blockchain and post-quantum cryptography. Today we have Kapil Deeman, the CEO and founder of Quranium, a pioneering blockchain quantum-resistant ledger that is currently basically taking over the entire globe. Kapil, maybe you can introduce yourself to us, and then I'll introduce myself, and we can get right to the questions.
Absolutely. Would be a pleasure. Thank you so much, Samuel, for having me on your podcast. I'm looking forward to the conversation today. Briefly, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Quranium. We are building a quantum secure layer 1 blockchain infrastructure with a core focus on scalability as much as security holds importance. And of course, during the podcast today, we're going to dive deeper into the requirement and the necessity of that. But I believe the world needs a much more stable and much more secure digital infrastructure in the current age where everything is going digital, from our data to our money. So it's very important that the security takes the center stage without compromising on the speed, because in the fast-moving digital world, speed is of the essence. So that's where we come in, building a decentralized infrastructure which is quantum secure as well as scalable. So that's what Quranium is. I'm a regular guy who loves to build products, loves to build relationships, and excited about our relationship as well with ExeQuantum going forward. And looking forward to this podcast. Thank you for having me once again.
Of course, thank you for coming and thank you for introducing yourself. I think what you're bringing up is a very important combination: safety and scalability. We can all agree that security is absolutely a must. For way too long, everyone has been ignoring it until it's basically too late. And now we are kind of facing a shake-up with the whole quantum computers coming and breaking everything. We're realizing it's time to actually be proactive about security. And scalability is definitely important. We need to innovate in security so that we can stay secure while not disrupting our operations. Because at the end of the day, even if you're ultra secure, if every payment takes 10 minutes, that's not a very viable solution. So it's very exciting to hear about your solutions I'm looking forward to hearing how you solve both the scalability and the security problem. From our end, we are a post-quantum cryptography startup. Just like Kapil, we are promoting post-quantum cryptography. We are touching in a bit of a different space, end-to-end encryption, TLS layers, basically the key exchange algorithms that need to be replaced, while Kapil is focusing on the blockchain, digital signatures, etc. So together we are combining to become a very, very powerful solution. Maybe we can start with asking some of the questions today. Now you're gonna get your chance to break down your technology a bit. So first question, Quranium is pioneering quantum-resistant blockchain technology. Can you break down exactly how quantum computers pose a threat to blockchain security? And what is behind Quranium that makes it resistant to quantum computers?
Around, what kind of threat does quantum computers pose to blockchains? To understand that, we have to cover it in a 3-step process. That's the way I would do it. Number 1, understanding the classical computers. Number 2, understanding how quantum computers are different. And number 3, where does the encryption come in? How does the encryption work? How has the encryption been secure so far? And what changes when quantum computers come in? So in this way, it's very important to structure it in this way so that we are hitting the bullseye in terms of the importance of this. Now, classical computers use bits, 0 or 1. They can be either of the state, one state at a time, very simply put, which gives them X amount of computation power, because they can be either 0 or 1, right? So X amount of computation power, which have been doing the job so far. Like this we are doing on a classical computer. It has been progressing every day. Quantum computers, when they come in, this is the next wave of advancing the computation strength. Right now, the classical computer, because of this limitation of them operating in either or capacity, puts a cap on their computation strength. Right, that's why a classic example that I can take is GPUs. When GPUs initially was was used a lot for playing games. Even today, like I love playing my PlayStation. It's all a graphic processing unit. It allows you a massive amount of computation strength to process data, to process images, to render stronger images, and which allows you real-time gaming experience as well. Now, the same GPUs are used in the AI age for processing massive amount of data and give you an output in the most user-friendly and optimal way. All this gets enabled because of computation strength. The higher your computation strength, the faster you will be able to process complex data, and the faster you will be able to give out desired output. This is, the way humanity will pass on or progress to the next evolution when more and more strength comes on our fingertips. Back in the day when mainframe computers were launched, those mainframe computers were like size of a room, and today, this mobile phone is also a computer. The same strength we are looking at in the computers today. So quantum computers is the next biggest evolution in the age of computing. It increases the computation strength by million times, literally million times. What today's classical computer would solve in a million years, a quantum computer can solve it in a second. The way they achieve that is through this technology. They use qubits instead of bits that classical computer use. Quantum computers, as the name suggests, use qubits. They can be either 0 or 1 or a combination of both. That is where the concept of superpositioning and entanglement comes into picture. Now, this processing power increase takes the leap of how much problems we can solve in the modern age to the next level. That's why I call it like the biggest revolution that our age is seeing right now. AI is incomplete without the strength of quantum computing coming into picture. That's how powerful it is. But at the same time, the same computation strength has a peril as well. Like every coin has two sides. The second side of the quantum revolution is the same quantum computing strength, computation power can be used to break the encryptions that we use today in the digital world. Now, this will be a good time to talk about how are the current encryptions operating, whether it is securing your money or you're securing your data or transmission of data. Classical encryptions are nothing but a mathematical calculation, a complex mathematical calculation that, the computers of today cannot solve. If I ask you what is 2 multiplied by 2, 4, 4 by 4, 16, 16 by 16, but an answer will come. Then if I ask you what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 multiplied by 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you'll not be able to process. You'll need a calculator. So calculator has more processing. Multiply it more, multiply it more, multiply it more. You need more and more, more and more, more and more, more and more, more and more computation power, right? That's the encryption, a very complex calculation of two numbers that even a computer today cannot solve. So what you need to solve it is a more powerful computing. That's what quantum computers have. And that's what the risk is. The encryptions that we are using today are 4 decades old. Specifically talking about blockchain, elliptic curve cryptography was invented in 1985. This is the technology that is used to encrypt your private keys. So on a blockchain network, if I do any transaction, I send you money. My public key is available on the network. It's flashed on the network. As the name suggests, it's public key. But my private key is only with me. But the private key and public key is linked together. Today, the linkage is secured by ECDSA, elliptic curve digital signature algorithm, which is, like I mentioned, is a mathematical calculation. Today's computers can't break it. They need like a lot of strength. Quantum computers can break it in seconds because they have much more higher computation strength, which means if somebody is sitting with an access to quantum computer or a lot of GPUs put together, because GPUs are also providing enhancement of computation strength, they can get access to the public key, reverse engineer, and get access to your private key, which means they can get access to every money or data that you're securing using that private key. This is a massive threat in an age where trillions of dollars are being moved and managed using this same encryption technology. And hence, there's a requirement of a new age of encryption, which we now call post-quantum cryptography, which is where this encryption, which sits between private key and public key, which is not quantum uncrackable, quantum can crack it. You replace this with a new sense of encryption, which is issued by NIST and a few other institutions have stamped it, which we call post-quantum secure. Even a quantum computer cannot crack it. Just as the age of computation moves forward, the same enhancement have to happen in the encryption technology as well. That is where I see a new world getting formed now, where in the quantum age, where of course with the advancement of quantum computers also comes the advancements in the encryption technologies. That's where we come in.
Well, thank you for the very thorough explanation. I think anyone who's watching us should definitely now be in the know in what's going on. You brought up some interesting points, some of which are related, some of which are not. One about the next evolution of computers, AI. The other about being when someone has a quantum computer. And number three, basically the new algorithms that are quantum uncrackable. Let's start with the AI thing. I guess it's kind of digressing from post-quantum, but I find it interesting that, for example, OpenAI, when they're trying to create a more powerful AI, they just have more computers. And now their data center is like, apparently like very, very large. I can't say how large, but like extremely large. And their solution, because they still don't have enough computational power, is build more, may have more data, but maybe at some point quantum computers will be what's necessary to take AI to the next step. And I heard that theory is kind of interesting, that maybe quantum AI will be AGI. But moving on from there, it's an interesting point you mentioned about, like someone with a quantum computer will be able to break your encryption, steal your money. One point that a lot of people have brought up to me is, well, it's going to take a long time. Like, even though quantum computers are going to be able to break encryption by 2030, according to NIST and the Australian government, there's still a long time before a hacker, like individual hackers, will get access to a quantum computer. But the thing is, they don't need to have access to quantum computers when you think about it. Larger organizations are going to be the one driving this, malicious organizations, ones that have a lot of money and a lot of power. But don't have the same morality. So basically, as a hacker, all I need to do is take some data now, and then wait, and then let's say some country or malicious country or terrorist organization say we have a quantum computer, I can sell them the encrypted data for them to decrypt. So it's coming back to harvest now, decrypt later. Even though the threat is in the future, supposedly, there are a lot of steps that even individual hackers can start taking now to actually break into your data later when quantum computers come. So this is something that everyone needs to action on. No one is too small to worry about quantum computers, and no one is too big to worry about them. And about the post-quantum cryptography, maybe you can tell me a bit, if you're comfortable, I'll edit this part out. Is that okay if I ask you about the algorithms that you're using, or is that kind of a trade secret for now?
No, go ahead. Feel free, anything.
So can you maybe tell me, like, for example, in our API, we use MLChem for the key exchange algorithm, because that's the algorithm that have been selected by NIST. Now, apparently, lattice-based algorithms are slowly being compromised as well. So we might need to switch to code-based algorithms, which is why we are preparing to integrate HQC as well, which is a code-based algorithm. But for now, lattice-based is enough. That's what NIST is saying. So hopefully we can trust them on that. Can you tell me a bit about the algorithm that Quranium is using and what type of math it's utilizing?
We're using Strings Plus and progressing into SLHDSA, which is not lattice-based, completely hash-based and algorithm-driven. Code-based driven, and the entire reason for that is I'm not going to comment much on the vulnerabilities that even lattice-based cryptography faces. I think there's enough information available on the net. Anybody who has interest can just go out and check what are the drawbacks of a lattice base. It solves one problem, but it creates two other problems. But we are seeing a more faster implementation of lattice base because it is short term. It is quicker to implement. It gives you quicker GTM. Day one, when we decided to build our infrastructure, we had this opportunity in front of us. We decided to go down the longer but the right route. So we didn't choose lattice base purposely. We started with Sphinx Plus, now advancing into SLH DSA. It was a complex journey, but today when we stand, we have launched our mainnet, we are launching our own crypto wallet as well. We can stand tall and say very confidently, cool, try to hack us, try to crack us. You cannot. Use any quantum computer in the world, try to break into a Quranium ecosystem, you cannot. And I can bet you no lattice-based platform can have the same level of confidence to say that. They are able to do a quicker GTM and go out and talk about it till the time actually somebody takes a dig at them, takes an attack at them. So that's the level of differentiation that comes into using a foundationally strong approach. So, and hence I think future is not going to be built on let's do it fast when it comes to building an infrastructure, but future is going to be built on let's do it perfect. Because we are talking literally about trillions of dollars. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of hard-earned money by people like you and I. We need to make sure that that is well taken care of, well secure, that the generations to come can confidently exchange data and exchange money using an infrastructure. So that's where I think right choices make a lot of difference.
That's an interesting take. It's kind of different to what the mainstream is, which is crypto agility, which is adopt what's available now and then switch later. And it's definitely an approach that I am agreeing with. It is important to take over the long term. One of the reasons we chose MLChem is because that's just the only key exchange algorithm that has been standardized by NIST. But now that HQC, the code-based key exchange algorithm, has been selected, we're going to be switching to that as well, to then allow for the more potentially robust code-based key exchange algorithm to take place. It's definitely an interesting take. I think, like you mentioned, lattice-based have their issues, the side channel vulnerability issues, and among some other issues, which we have been able to mitigate for the most part. But yes, at the end of the day, it's very possible that in the next few years they will no longer be safe, and that's why we all need to switch to code-based. And yeah, when I saw on your website that you said Sphinx Plus, I was wondering if you have any plans to switch to SLH DSA. So thanks for clearing that up. Okay, maybe we can move on to the next question. So the shift to post-quantum security is inevitable, but you probably encountered, I know that I have, many projects are lagging behind. How should blockchain, like individual blockchain or company blockchain developers, start preparing for this transition today?
No, I mean, sometimes all it takes is a slap on the face for somebody to realize that we have to wake up. And I always make this comment that you don't hire a security guard after the theft is done. You hire a security guard before and to prevent a theft. You can fool anything but maths. Maths is very logical. And there are enough demonstrations and enough examples and enough proof out there to really satisfy and make it a point that mathematically, if you do not transition to post-quantum cryptography, you're going to be left behind. You're going to lose. Right? But psychologically speaking, change is the inevitable, but change is the most difficult thing to accept by humans. We always think, we have two brains, like analytical and emotional. Even though, our analytical brain would agree that, okay, this makes sense, our emotional brain would not allow us to, take the immediate steps because we are in our comfort zone. If a business is running successfully right now, they are making good amount of money, they would think, we have more time. They would always find arguments which are in favor of their perception more accurate. So if they believe that, okay, my business is correct right now, I'm more comfortable continuing as is and not transitioning. Every article online they will see, okay, quantum is 5 years ahead. They're like, okay, I have 2 more years, cool. But every article they will see, like people like you and I talking that, okay, no, you need to transition today. They're like, oh, they're kids. They don't know what they're talking about. It's the emotional brain talking, right? And that's where, slap on the face is required. What I mean by that is all it will take for the industry to wake up and literally shake up is one big quantum attack. One big attack where it will be proven in the media that the current encryptions were broken. And it's not far. It's going to happen any day. And that's where the preparations have to start when you can see a mathematical proof happening. Why do we go gaga about the space explorations program? Today, the entire world is celebrating Sunita Williams coming back to Earth, right? 10 years back, when SpaceX was trying to build a private company, reusable rocket, they were laughed at. But, billions of dollars got invested. And today, when, we are getting astronauts back on planet and we are getting a reusable rocket, we are celebrating that. But nobody's talking about a decade worth of journey and multiple times, SpaceX and companies like Tesla going bankrupt. Nobody's going to talk about that. They see what's happening today. Oh, they have a robot. Okay. So you need to kind of really be prepared for the future and build for the future today in the present. So some people understand it, some people don't. The people who are not understanding it, I wish them best of luck. They are going to get a slap on the face very, very soon, and that's when they'll wake up, and that's when they'll take panic decisions. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? Instead, be smart. Take the decision today. It's inevitable. It's really inevitable that this is going to happen.
That's the thing. There is no question that it's going to happen, which people seem also, like we say, within 5 years. Within 5 years doesn't mean in 5 years. It means it can happen tomorrow. It can happen a month from now. It can happen maybe a year from now. But it will happen within, this is now. This is 5 years. Can happen anywhere there. And yes, skepticism, I would say, sometimes can be dangerous, especially when it's around something like this. Skepticism, I kind of grew to, skepticism has its place, it's important, but sometimes I feel like it's a lot more damaging, and not only that, but lazy. Because it's a lot easier to say, like you mentioned, everything is going to stay the same. It's not going to change. Oh, well, it's hard to do the change, so it's not going to change. And this type of skepticism this time it's quite dangerous, because when the slap in the face comes, as you mentioned, people will then finally switch, but it will be too late for a lot. A lot of data will be leaked, a lot of money will be stolen, and it's going to be basically a tragedy, in terms of the effect of what's going to happen. So it's very important that we try, to kind of make it a Y2K event and be have people saying, what was a big deal? I think that's the best scenario. It does mean we'll get less credit, I suppose, but that's what we want to happen. But sadly, I do not think that will be happening. 2 more questions. Some argue that high security blockchain protocols, SLH DSA, FNDSA, XMSS, sacrifice speed and scalability. And you mentioned before how important scalability is to Quranium. Can you explain about SLH DSA? Is it scalable, and if not, what does Quranium do to improve its scalability?
So we are doing 2 things. Number one is modifying SLH DSA to make it quicker in terms of signatures. The way we are doing it, that's a proprietary thing. So I'm not at the liberty to talk about that. But you'll see it in action 45 days from now. When signing a transaction, we'll be super quick using that technology. And then after that, we are in the process of filing patents as well. Once that process is through, we are going to make it, out there how we have done it. So that's number one. Number 2 is the way the entire infrastructure gets designed. So the way we are building our infrastructure, we have separated the settlement layer from the execution layer. So everything does not happen in one place. Ethereum, for example, is always slowing down because everything happens in one blockchain. There's too much of burden on one blockchain. What we have done is segregated the two. The settlement happens on a proof of work blockchain, and the smart contract deployment is happening on a block DAG. So which ensures that 100,000 transactions per second is literally the easiest thing that we'll be able to achieve without compromising quantum security. So the way we design it, and the 2 layers then stitched together using a concept we call point of truth. Our tech team calls it sandwich. I call it point of truth. That's their engineering way of putting pieces together. But that is literally the biggest innovation that the blockchain industry will see, and nobody has done it in this way. And that's where we see a lot of foundational discrepancies in the blockchain networks of today, whether it is security or whether it is scalability. To bridge all of them together, the blockchain trilemma, decentralization, security, and scalability, bringing them together requires a foundational shift in the way we design our infrastructure. That's what we are doing. And this, the way we are doing it, that is public information. Anybody can go on our website. They'll find all the information there, how our architecture is designed, and the documentation of that is also public. I welcome anybody to share their comments, share their feedbacks. We are in the process of making a lot of things open source as well. So we'll invite the larger developer community to come, contribute, share the comments, share the feedback. I think in the coming months, you'll see a lot of open sourcing more from Quranium also.
When the time comes, I'm looking forward to having a look myself, because this stuff fascinates me. And like same here. I think it's kind of a misconception, honestly, that post-quantum cryptography has to be slower or like much bigger keys, etc. It's innovation. Like, with innovation, it doesn't have to be the case, especially with all those new algorithms that are coming out. Like, for example, our implementation of MLChem is not slower than RSA at all. Even when you include the API latency, that is also very, very small. Like, and then you get not only a security upgrade, but also computational upgrades when looking into those innovative solutions. And that way, we also, of course, can solve the compatibility issue that not only post-quantum algorithms are facing, but pre-quantum algorithms have a lot of compatibility issues. For example, when TLS 1.2 needed to migrate to TLS 1.3, even without quantum, it's a massive pain. A lot of companies still didn't do it yet. So I think, we can showcase how, thinking ahead, like you mentioned, we can fix not only security and scalability, but also compatibility and basically everything else. We can make, this new era of cybersecurity gives us the option, give us the chance to make those kind of innovations. Okay, let's one last question before we can wrap it up. What industries beyond blockchain and crypto stand to benefit the most from post-quantum security? And how do you see Quranium contributing to this broader shift?
The easier answer is like literally every industry. And this is going to be the new standard of encryption, right? The cryptography across is going to be changed, whether it is RSA, ECDSA, everything. It has to go through that shift. But of course, like everything, it happens in stages. The first one, I understand, should be the financial industry, the financial services sector. The second one will be healthcare, and the third one will be automotive. I see it happening in this sequence, literally, because of course, the stakes and the progressiveness of these industries when it comes to adopting new technologies as well. So it goes hand in hand.
You mainly focus on blockchain, but I assume that then it can translate to the broader...
See, we are the foundational infra, right? So we are making a decentralized infrastructure, which is going to be industry agnostic. But our priority industries are going to be in this sequence. Like I mentioned, the financial services industry is the first go-to for us. We have been in discussion with some banks to do POCs on Quranium, how we can facilitate and how we can help them. They're primarily in their cross-border transactions and settlements, which makes it super quick and much cheaper as well. So in the financial stable coins in the crypto industry, they are a huge focus areas for us. So the payments sector, simplifying payments, securing payments is a very important focus for us to start with. And then of course healthcare, that is where the data, securing of data becomes much more important. So in the first one is the payments and the money. The second one is the data, and the third one in the automotive side is the processes. Right, supply chain has always been the favorite of the blockchain industry. So that becomes a core focus in the third industry as well. So while it is absolutely agnostic, but I see it happening in stages, and these are the steps that I see will be pretty eminent going forward as we'll see it.
Interesting. I think you might find it interesting. Australia, it might depend on the region that you're at. But in Australia, actually, our pipeline are looking a bit different in terms of what receptiveness we get. The most receptive we've had so far is digital ID, which I suppose kind of works with the rollout of digital ID of the Australian government mandated IDs recently, so that kind of checks out. Number two, construction. I guess logistics, trucks, etc. I guess you can kind of combine it with automotive, but construction is much bigger in Australia than automotive. And then AI. AI has been extremely receptive. And now it's actually blockchain, which is why we're actually starting to kind of have a lot of noise around that area, because Australia is having a very young but growing crypto community. So it's kind of a different pipeline to what you had, but I think it depends on where you're at. Like it could be that, for example, I suspect that if, for example, you're in like, let's say Israel, you would have defense first, and then cybersecurity, and then other things. Or for example, so it's kind of interesting. But you're right. Like eventually, every industry is going to have to do this. So there are a few pioneers in every place, but it's not a question that eventually it will have to be everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I think that's all the questions. Before we wrap it up, do you want to add any more comments, or did you want to chat about something else?
I'm good. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Samuel. Good conversation as always, and I'm looking forward to build something interesting together for Australia, from Australia, for the world, as you're there.
Region.
For the whole region.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this is just a start. You know, there is the APAC region as a whole I want to look into, that we both want to look into, Middle East. The world is ours. Well, thank you very much for coming, and I hope that we'll see you all. Thank you for those who watched so far. I hope to see you all at the upcoming events that will be linked at the description below.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and bye.
Bye.